What's up, everybody? We are live here in the home studio. Finally, we were set up to have this amazing conversation with none other than Durell Peart. I had this all set up. I was out moving today, moving and shaking. I be moving all day long, man.
Yeah,
So I,
life happens.
I was out moving. I said, let me go do one more ride, and then I'm gonna go to the trainer at 4. Swoop back to the house. We're gonna do this stream. And I don't know what the hell I ran over, man. I'm like, oh shit, I'm finna have a flat tire. Not even 5 minutes later, the tire's flat. So then I'm sitting there in the car and I'm thinking like, all right, I gotta get a tow. I gotta get a
Yeah,
tire. It's not a spare in the back.
yeah,
It's been a rough afternoon. Um, but everything is good now.
that's good,
It
man.
sucks because we were supposed to start obviously at 6 o'clock, and I know people are actually now faithfully tuning in when we say that we're gonna do a stream, and when we do the show on Saturdays, they are like tuned in, like waiting for it to start.
Absolutely.
So we
Well,
try to be.
look, life happens, man. Life
Well, yeah,
happens.
absolutely.
That's what it is. I mean,
I
that's
think
just.
one of the things that like I really really appreciate about you is that you understand that life happens.
I
Um,
got to, being in the entertainment business, you got to
yeah.
understand that shit happens.
When we start with our introducing
We're
ourselves,
not doing
please.
no introduction
Yes,
yet.
we are.
We, well,
You
we
know,
Hello,
we know each other
everybody.
already, so
it can't.
Okay.
You don't know me yet.
The first time they've ever jumped in here, we're welcoming the new viewers, and we also going to introduce ourselves. Hi, everybody! Thank you guys for joining us. We are the Entertainment Plug after the Aftershock. My name is Fella Lover Carly, and this gentleman over here, this milk dud over here, don't want to introduce nobody. His name is J Rock.
so you
That's what they call him, bro. J Rock. Okay.
so you know what? That's been my show name the entire 5 years. I just never use it.
Okay.
I always call him James, but in that moment, I think the rockhead part of him made me call out J Rock. So we're going to just go with the flow. And we're thankful to have you here in the studio with us today, Mr. Durell. Thank you for being a part of our show. Thank you for coming back to the show.
Absolutely, man. Anytime you guys need me, I'm here.
So you see the dynamic that we have and why we work so cool together.
Right.
I will definitely say that she keeps me on my toes. So
Absolutely.
it's cool. But more than anything, man, I really want to say thank you to you because obviously we've been connected for a number of years now,
Yeah.
and we've been able
Can
to
we
do.
introduce what he does, though?
We've been connected. We've been connected for a number of years, man, and I just appreciate all of the support that you push back my way, and coming on the shows. I'm gonna let you go ahead. Take. I'm gonna let you take the wheel.
I want the viewers to know who you are and what you do because just like you're in media, you're in entertainment business. You know that some viewers have a very short attention span, and so I want to make sure we jump on top of and let them know who you are, so we can grab them and keep them here with us. So, can you tell us a little more about yourself?
Yeah. My name is Durell Peart. I'm based out of Orlando, Florida. I was born with a disability, originally from Brooklyn, New York. Been in the entertainment industry now since about 2004-ish. Love it. Absolutely love. I run a company called Double N Management and Marketing Group. The Double N stands for Encourage and Inspire. So I love to encourage and inspire people. I'm an artist manager, speaker, music business consultant. Just love helping independent artists navigate this crazy thing we call the music business. And you gotta be a little crazy to want to be in the music business, entertainment business in general, because it's way easier thing to do in life to make money.
Yeah.
Way easier things to do. So you do it because you love it, and I believe that we cannot live life without the arts. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Especially music is impossible. Can't live life without it. You can try to, but it's not gonna work.
Right.
So I think so many artists, and the reason why I serve the 99%, I like to say I serve the 99% because the 1%ers don't really need they don't need me. I do service work, man. I serve, and the 1%, the 99% people need what I do, because education is the number one missing link for the majority of independent artists in the space. They just don't really know what to do. So that's what they come to me for. And I do other things besides coaching, but coaching is my main thing. So yeah.
During your coaching sessions, what would you say is the most popular thing that you have to coach people through?
Well, so I'll break it down. So the framework that I created through my coaching session is called the Genesis of Superfan Building. So what I teach independent artists is how to build an audience, how to build a core, because that's the only real way you can kind of survive in today's music ecosystem, is having a core audience. Most people ain't going to get massive millions of people to rock with them in the space today. It's not going to happen. So if you can get that core audience to really rock with you, you can build a career that's sustainable over time. It's not going to necessarily look like you want it to look, but it's possible. So within that framework, the main thing I teach is how to build a brand position, right? Your competitive advantage. So there's 3 elements of the brand position: the community you want to serve, who you are, why should somebody care? Like, why should somebody really care that you do music, right? Because as creatives, y'all are problem solvers. You solve problems. Most creators don't think about their talent like that. They just, I'm talented, I can sing. Who cares? Who cares? Right. So if you have to be intentional when you do what it is that you do. So I try to teach the intentional portion of it and the fundamentals. There's so many internet gurus out there telling you, oh, just go run a bunch of ads, put your music in front. That's all types of stuff is good when you're ready to scale. What happens to people that ain't ready to scale yet? People need foundation.
That's true.
Somebody got to teach them the foundational elements of what they need, and that's kind of where I've kind of planted my flag at. You know, I'm not an ads expert. Don't cut me for that, but I am going to teach the fundamentals. Because I'm working with majority of artists, I'm working with this beginner level, entry level creatives that really need what I do. Now, the downfall about that, not really a downfall, but the 99% of them are broke. So it's just what it is. It's just what it is. So it has to be service work, because if it's not, it's like, why?
But I mean, even that, like, even the simplicity in you saying that, like, 99% of them are broke, like, is good that you come into it knowing that and realizing that, and you're finding ways to really work around that, because
you have to. Yeah, you have to.
The majority of the people you work with.
Exactly. So you have to. The hardest part is finding prices that are fair for me to do what I love to do, and where it's still affordable,
and it still makes sense for you too, because you got to live too.
Exactly. You know, so that's why I always push the retainer option, because I actually cut my hourly rate in half. My hourly rate is $250 an hour. I think I'm well qualified to charge that. But if you get me on retainer, knock it down to half, $125 an hour, still fair enough. So I mean, you know, because I tell you all the time. So to work with me for 6 months is $3,000. There's people that charge that monthly in this business.
Absolutely.
They charge that per month. So I mean, so you can't. That number shouldn't even scare you. That's actually a fair number,
right?
You know, for 6 months, you know, and I should raise my rate, but you know, I also understand we in inflation. You know, a lot of things going on. So, but I mean, I do this because I love it. I do this because I know we make it. Like, then I was just talking to Deli Rowe. You know Deli.
Yeah.
So for those you don't know, so Deli Rowe's like one of my day ones. She's one of my very first clients to hire me when I first started doing the consulting work in 2015. So that's almost 10 years ago. She didn't know me from a can of paint, but she knew that I was a good person. She could tell I was a good person.
And that's about where you and I connected too.
Around that same time. And she has gone. So through my relationship, she ended up going on to get a #1 record on the UK soul charts, because she was just kind of transitioning out of gospel. She didn't want to do gospel no more. So I kind of had to coach her into kind of how to get out the gospel, because in gospel it's ministry, and I had to tell her like, there's certain things that when it's different from singing in church and singing in nightclubs, and what the difference is, you know what I mean, and the imaging, because the church has a way of making you feel bad if you're not doing the Lord's work.
Absolutely.
And that's a whole nother conversation that we won't get into, because I have my own different opinions on that. I don't believe that just because you start in the church, that's the only music you have to do. I just don't agree. I don't agree with that. You're calling me not be. You might start in church on the choir, but why can't you sing R&B?
Right.
What's wrong with singing R&B?
You gotta
everything don't have to be gospel every minute, because the truth is that's not real life. That's not real life. Who listens to gospel? Is every minute of the day praise and worship time? If you're for the Christians out there, if you are with your significant other, I hope you ain't listening to Amazing Grace, How Sweet the Sound, when it's time to do whatever, what it's time to do. You know what I mean? I really sure hope, because I would be concerned.
I am, I got a story to tell. Why he's about not playing.
I would be concerned. I mean, I would be concerned. I remember PJ Morton wrote a book called Why Can I Sing About Love? Right? And the church had got so much flack just because, one, he didn't want to be a gospel. He'll tell you all the time, I'm not a gospel artist. I'll write it, I'll perform from time to time, but I am a artist who happens to be able to sing gospel from time to time. He did end up doing a gospel record, but the church, he had got so much flack from that. But his father knew, so look, when I first bummed out that that my son didn't want to do gospel, but I also understood that his journey is his journey. You know what I mean? And so I think we have to be a lot more open-minded in how we look at people's journeys, and how we look at if you're in the nightclubs and you're performing and you're doing what it is you love to do, and you could still be in church on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Nobody said you couldn't be in church on Sunday, right? But I don't think you should be crucified or looked down upon because you just choose. Like, that's just not my world. Like me personally, I don't work in the gospel world. I've made a conscious choice. That's just not the world that I work in. I don't have those contacts. I don't really work. I can tell you how to build an audience around it, but I don't have. So I go to my man Brian Irby in Atlanta. That's all he does is gospel. So if I have somebody say, all right, here you go, you gonna do gospel? My man over here, I'm in the hip hop, R&B, soul world. That's what I do. In the pop world, that's the world I'm in. But I know that I don't have the relationship with gospel, because that's not the world. The truth of the matter is, I didn't grow up in gospel music. I went to white churches growing up.
Okay.
So that's a CCM world, which is a whole different world. So the truth is, like, I never spent time in that world growing up. I don't talk about that a lot, but that's just the truth of it. So I don't work in that world like that.
Right.
So
but that makes perfect sense, though.
So that's true. So I'm mostly in the secular world, I don't have no problem saying that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm not reckless with it. I think it's perfectly fine to be in nightclubs, do your thing, be grown about it, sing what you want to sing about. Because it ain't my worldview. It's your worldview. I can, I don't have to agree with it, but if you hire me to help you do whatever, I'm not going to not help you. Like, I'm still going to serve. A lot of times people get so caught up in religion. That's why I don't really rock with religion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Religion, like I this might piss some people off, but I think that the Christian church is in trouble, in my opinion. The Christian church has struggled because they haven't understood that these Generation Zs, you can't fool them. They like you can't act like they're like. That's why they're in trouble. You can't act like it's 1960 no more. That's because if they're watching, they say, okay, hold on, we need to see what you're doing. And you say, if that's what doing God's work is, I'll go over here. Right. I take my chances over here. So, but I'm not going over there. And that's what's happening. So, I mean, but yeah, so I absolutely love what I do. It's passion, a service work for me. And I'm going to continue to do what I got to do to make a difference and continue to put forward. I feel like this, when you're walking in your purpose, I feel like God has always had favor
Absolutely.
And even the times where I struggle when there's no money coming in, because you won't have times like that. I'm a graduate of a school called Full Sail University, and we just yesterday was the end of our Hall of Fame week, which is like our homecoming. We don't have sports at that school. We're on entertainment, arts, and technology, so that's we induct six members of the Hall of Fame in various different degree programs every year, and I go to Hall of Fame every year, and I love to give back to the students. And one thing about that, we always tell them the truth. We tell them that it's the journey to success is not a straight line.
That's true.
And I tell that to artists too. Like, if no two people's careers ever the same way.
Well, I want to rewind you a little bit because I wanted to jump in there when you were talking about people that are involved in like the church or the religious beliefs and everything. And I saw you kind of like pity pat around it just a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go stab right at it.
Go ahead. I'm just trying to show respect to the,
with all due respect to all of that, because we do have an opinion, and God gives all free will. And I'm just speaking up because I do believe what you said. Like, I believe that God is not a church. God is God.
Right.
And if we deal with the religious, it does create an issue. If your gift is not to a church, you still can use your gift,
Right.
When you say people have to understand the difference between being in a church or being in a nightclub, the difference is when you take what your belief system is, you take your God and you put it in your world. You don't just take your God and put it in a building. So that's what you are catering to. So I applaud you because you see people's gift, and you're not telling them that they have to just go and justify a building, the religious dogma, but you're telling them to be themselves, and you're helping people get in purpose, on purpose, and stay in purpose, because your music, it crosses all different barriers and everything, crosses all different lines, and music is healing, and it's music touches you. Through the nation, you can play that song no matter where you are, and it does some things. So I wanted to applaud you for that part. I didn't want to just skate past it,
Oh no, I appreciate that. No, I really do.
Calling you out, man. She calling you out. That's why.
It's fine because I have that conversation on my podcast all the time with people, and because I think it's a topic that we need to talk a lot about, because certain people that just have a one track, like, it's gospel 24/7. And my grandmother was like that. You know what I mean? She was, she read the Bible 3 times a day. You know what I mean? Very, very much.
God is so big, and so big, and He's so dynamic. And there's so many things that people don't allow themselves to learn because they're worried about the church.
What somebody else's opinion is going to be.
Yeah.
Who don't have a heaven or hell to put you into.
Absolutely.
And it's just as flawed as you are. You know what I mean? I mean,
it's not more.
Yeah.
And they think about, and they look at it like a lot of churches they preach fear. And God says,
fire and brimstone.
all
that crap that is like, come on, man.
And I absolutely, positively, 150% believe in God. I just don't believe in church. Does that make sense to you?
No, because I have not gone to church religiously in about 10 years.
Yeah,
I have really no desire to. That's just me personally.
Yeah. People might be upset that I said it.
I just don't. I don't like the church culture, and they've been able to get away with it for a long time because they didn't. Now we have the internet. We have young people. They just like these Generation Zs. They affect everybody. For instance, going all the way from the church thing, these late millennial Generation Zs, they care a lot about mental health, work-life balance. So they don't care how much your job pays. If the job is stressful, they leave it.
That's true.
They will take less money for less stress and more happiness. So I think going back to the church is just, it's feared. People are feared, and people are feared, and they don't feel welcome. They don't feel like they can come and be their authentic self because of what people are saying. And let's keep it 1,000. There's a lot of money to be made in the ministry.
Absolutely.
You ever notice how people who are who come out being incarcerated, next thing you know, they're a pastor. They're a pastor.
Well, yeah, that's true. But a lot of times people are looking, they really do want help. They
Yeah.
really, when they're in a place of pain and everything, they don't know what to do with it. And when we're talking about music and passion and art and as a whole, people don't know how to channel their gifts into,
Right.
because a lot of times they have these different pains and sufferings because they're negating their passion. And then when they go into that place to make their music, it's an outlet. Or they go and draw, it's an outlet. Whatever their gift is, when they put their creativity to the out there, it eases the anxiety, it eases the stress, because we are literally creators, and so you have to wholeheartedly understand who you are to do art and music in itself. And that's why it's so important to have somebody like you out there, because clearly you understand how to get people to a place of walking into their passion. I understand this is what you want to do, and this is the best way to get there. And I heard one of your you did an interview. Oh, I don't remember who it was with, but I was listening to one of your interviews. That's when I jumped in your inbox. That was me.
Yeah.
I did it. So I was in it. It's a girl in my inbox, and she said, "I need you." Okay, so that was me. So
yeah, I remember.
And I wanted to interview.
She crazy sometimes too, man. I wanted to warn you before we got on here.
There's no warning. You can't warn for the storm that's coming your way. When I heard you talking about how a lot of times people are independent artists are coming to you, you understand that they don't have the money, but you're coaching them along the way. I just felt your passion that this is something that this is just who you are.
Yep. It's just like, I feel like I always, cause I didn't grow up wanting to be in the entertainment business. My sister, our family, my aunt, she sung gospel. She still does, but she never really wanted to make records or nothing like that. She had been offered several times, but she just didn't really have the desire to go make a record. My sister was in the industry. She is in the industry, but she's more on the acting, filmmaking side, and voiceover. She's a voiceover actress, but not necessarily making records.
Is that why you got involved in what you're doing now?
No, how I got involved in the industry was, so I was born with a disability, I have cerebral palsy, and so as I said, I live in Orlando, Florida, and at the time, this was like maybe early 2004. My best friend at the time had a roommate who has now and he's now one of my best friends, right? He was in a dance crew, and he would invite me to the dance practices just to fellowship and hang out, and so I started going to the dance practices, and so we had got booked to do, the group was called Hype, Hottest Young People's Entertainment, and we got booked to do the Florida Classic. So for those who don't know, Florida is actually like when Bethune-Cookman University or A&M University play the football game around Thanksgiving, right? So that Friday night, they do the black high schools, the black high schools in the area. We do the Battle of the Bands. So we got booked to do that. And so they created a routine, and they created a freestyle session at the end of the routine, and they choreographed me into the session. So it's 18,000 people, and I go out there and I start dancing. I wish I had footage of this still. I don't. But I got bit by the bug, and then I was like, oh, this entertainment thing is pretty cool. So I was like 18 or 19 years old, and I was fortunate enough to meet my mentor, my big brother LaShawn. We call him TS, Tall Sean. And he just took me under his wing. My mom didn't know nothing about the entertainment business. She had known, but he told her, look, I got him. It'll be all right. You know what I mean? So he took me under his wing and taught me the industry, taught me how to work with artists, and after that, we worked together for a few years, and then he moved to Raleigh, North Carolina to take a job, and he basically said, all right, little bro, like, you gotta go spread your wings. I'm going to go do what I need to do, and now you got to go do what you need to do. And so that's when I started managing an artist at the time named D Cody, who was an R&B. So did I ever connect you to him, James? I don't think I ever did. Anyway, D Cody and I worked together for about, after this is around 2008, 2008. Then Cody and I worked together for a couple of years after that, and we put out a record called Us Against the World. Made a lot of mistakes. You can still find the record online now. A lot of mistakes. But what was good was I connected with my colleague at the time, Helene. Well, I forgot how we connected. I think we connected on some kind of social platform. And she was managing a guy named by the name of Al McNeil, who you guys might know from Troop.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were working together. And so she kind of does what I do now. She works for independent artists, and she could tell that I knew what I was. This was in 2010. This before Full Service Royalty. She's like, man, bro, like you really know your stuff. You really know what you're talking about. And she could kind of tell that like I understood what I was talking about even back then. And she said, look, this guy there, D Cody, he lucky to work with you because not a lot of people like you in this business. And she told me that in 2010. So I was young. I was probably 24, 25 at the time. And she kind of co-signed me at that time and let me know, look, you that guy. You're gonna continue to do what you're doing. And after that, I'm kind of going into my story a little bit. I don't know if I'm just kind of sharing kind of the.
No, this is perfect.
Yeah. And I did write my book. I have a book where I kind of went go into a little bit of detail about this, not too much, but a little bit of detail. So in 2010, we released Us Against the World. Mm-hmm. Put it on CD Baby. Sold a few copies. Made a lot of it. It took us 3 years to make that record. From 2008 to 2010, it took us a lot of years to make the song and a lot of mistakes. If I could go back, knowing what I know now, we would have approached it totally differently. But we were young. I was young, trying to figure it out.
Why do you feel like you made mistakes there?
Just because it's just things like, for instance, so one of the mistakes we did was we had low budget, right? So we did the album was done, but we had a deadline of November 23rd, 2010. So we mixed the record and we went back in and said, we recorded the song, we mixed it, and we listened to it, and everybody kept telling us, oh man, we like the songs, but the vocals were not loud enough. Like you could kind of hear, everybody would kind of say the same thing. So okay, maybe, but like because we didn't actually go back and say, look, they're all saying the same thing. Let's go back in, let's push the deadline back and go back in and remix the record. Because that's $800 to mix the album. You know what I mean? So, but we're like, no, we're gonna keep our deadline and we put it out anyway. But everybody kept saying the same thing. So what I tell artists too now is that if people are saying kind of the same thing, you need to take heed to that. Understand that if the consumer's telling you what they're telling you, you need to listen to them. You know what I mean? If they say, hey, we like the songs, but his vocals need to be turned up. The mix isn't great, because people got to realize this. So those technicals. So you have to have a clean recording,
right?
First and foremost, because a clean recording is going to make the mix. I literally had to tell this to a guy today. A clean recording is going to make the mixing engineer's job a whole lot easier.
Okay. Right.
But if you don't have a clean recording and a clean mix, all the master designers, you hear people say, oh, I got to mix and master. They don't understand what they're really saying. All the master is going to do is make the mix sound uniform across all devices that whether it's on your computer, because it should sound the same whether you're playing it from your computer, from your laptop, from your phone, from the car. It should all sound, and that's what the master. The master just makes sure everything is leveled out for to be the master version that we hear. Right? But if the mix is shitty, the master ain't going to help anything. It's going to inflate the bad mix. So artists have to take time to make sure their product is right. Because none of what I teach, going back to what I teach from before, that's all assuming you have quality product. Mm-hmm. But if the quality product is not quality, none of what I teach about building an artist is going to matter. Because the product got to be right. the quality of the recording, because that's the only thing in our industry that's subjective. That's the only thing. The technical side. What the only thing we can judge things objectively in the entertainment business is the technical side of it. Once we put it out into the marketplace, we don't know what's going to happen. Nobody can tell you what's going to happen. We don't know. You could think a movie. You could think when somebody's making a movie, man, this is a great movie. Doesn't do well. Because it was a bad skit. Just all right, it doesn't do well here in America, but we take it overseas, it does well. So nobody can tell you how. So this is, we don't know. We don't really know. This is art. It's subjective. We don't know what you like. Me and you can listen to the same album, even though young kids today ain't listening. Everything's quick now. For young people, they don't listen to music to listen to music. That is quick. They want to hear. They're 2 minutes gone. Next, so that's this young generation. That's how they are. They're not gonna go listen to me. But when you listen to music, like, it's supposed to take you on a journey, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you're making a quality record, man, the product has to be right, because without the product being right, it don't matter how many relationships I got, how many things you have done. One, you cannot buy your way to success in the entertainment business. Mm-hmm. It's like politics. People gotta like you. You gotta like you running for office. You gotta shake hands, and we have social. We have social media. Social media is great, and everything today starts on social. But there's still something special about shaking hands, kissing babies, getting people to like you. I tell artists all the time, the performance does not stop. The work is not done till you work that room before and after.
That's right.
Before you get on that stage, introduce yourself. They see your performance, and after the performance, you should get every email, phone number you could possibly get. If there's 100 people in the room, you should have 100 names that you can follow up with later, if you're intentionally trying to do this as a business. If it's a hobby for you, then don't really know what to tell you. I don't want to work with people that's just doing it as a hobby, because that's a waste of my time.
Right. Now I will say this: if you pay me to do what I do, like I have a client right now, I tell her, look, you got to make yourself available, because she was kind of upset. I think she got upset because she's been paying me, but she ain't been. I've been, hey, look, you need to make yourself available so we can chat. I can do what I need to do. But if you never call me, and then she's wanting to chase the industry. I said, stop chasing the music industry. The music industry don't know they have no clue what the hell's going on. They don't know. If you hear these record labels really knew how to break an artist, like the only one way to do. Do you think they do it? They don't know. And these days, nobody can tell you. But that kind of taps into a question that I had. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because growing up, I always wanted to be an A&R rep.
Okay, so I never knew that.
I always wanted to, like in high school and coming through high school, I knew already that I want to be an A&R rep. I want to work with records. Okay. The recording labels need someone like you, like artists. I mean, yourself that artist development with the labels is gone, and even when they had it, they weren't necessarily always doing a good job. Usually the ones who are really developed the best, they kind of have their own teams when they're going maneuvering through the label. Right. Have a lot of that stuff put together already. Right. Did you always want to just do it for yourself, or was there ever a part of you that felt like you could do it for the labels?
Interesting question. I haven't had really no choice but to do it for myself, because being the fact that, so I ended up going to, piggybacking into the conversation before that I was telling my story. So D. Cody and I parted ways in 2012. We just had one of those come to Jesus moments. I would just say, working, bro. Like, I'm gonna go do me, you go do you. So I was really down at that point, and I said, man, I'm gonna go back and get my degree. Now, I'm not someone that believes that college degrees for everybody. Everybody needs to go back to school. I just don't think that that's options for everybody. I don't think you should. And I think we're in this generation now. They're going to start to be okay with the fact of a traditional college route. Doesn't have to be the end route. But at the time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to school. So my dad gets me to finish school because all his kids finished college. So if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do something I love to do. So that's when that's why I decided to enroll at Full Sail. And it was the best decision I could ever do. Not so much to go learn the business, I already knew the business, but it was a restart. And now these are some of my most favorite people in the world. And love going there, love giving of my time and mentoring these young people. Something special about.
I feel like you own Full Sail. Like,
yeah,
that's
it's interesting because yesterday evening we had our Hall of Fame ceremony, and the vice president of academic affairs, he said to me, he said, "You are a staple of this university, and we thank you for that. For being just an advocate for the school, because a lot of people talk a lot of crap about Full Sail University."
Oh, absolutely.
And the problem is that those same people who talk crap have never been on campus at Full Sail.
Uh-huh.
They have no clue how it works. All they hear is what they're hearing. Oh, nobody. The reason, why they have Hall of Fame week, to show you that Full Sail works. These people are being successful. These people are winning. These people are doing what they're doing, and they're having major credits. And a lot of these people who went to Full Sail went to traditional college first. That didn't work for them. So we have our education system in America is not. See, we don't say everybody doesn't learn the same way. Everybody's not passionate about the same thing.
That's true.
But people naturally go to practical jobs. People don't think you should play video games and make video games for a living. Because most people think that video games is something you just do on the side at home after work or after school. Not understanding, if you look at the business of it, it's $1 billion industry.
That's true.
Somebody has to make those games.
That's true.
Right? Somebody has to make those computer animation movies that we like to always watch. That these kids that you spend money having your kids go watch because they want to see the 3D. Most of the people doing that are coming out of Full Sail University. Every year for the Grammys and the Oscars, we have multiple grads working on projects every year.
And I've interviewed countless artists, like major artists who graduated from
every year. And believe it or not, a lot of famous artists, their kids have gone to Full Sail University.
Yeah.
Like Chili's son from T. So Leslie Brathwaite, who is he's won like 27 Grammys as a mix engineer. But his best friend is Tion from TLC.
Okay.
Because Tion kind of gave him his, Tion is T-Boz,
I know. Listen, I had a crush when I was at
Tion was when Leslie from first come. He tells the story all the time. I'm not saying something he hasn't shared, but he says at the time he got an internship at Dallas Austin Studio, and I think the engineer couldn't be in the room, and Tion said literally told us, "Oh, I see you working on knobs all the time," and he never really worked in the session or whatever that he did, and I trust him. Leslie could do it. I was like, "Oh, really? I can." So she kind of helped him get his first shot in mixing in a professional space like that. And so and people don't realize is the industry is small, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's friends. They all know that. People don't realize that the entertainment business is a small community. Everybody knows everybody. Especially when you get to a certain level, they all came up together. They might not see each other every day, but they all came up together in some form of fashion. They've known each other along with their journey to their careers. So with Full Sail University, I decided to go to Full Sail, and I ended up graduating with my degree in entertainment business there. I was valedictorian in my class, one events achievement. But the reason why I decided I couldn't go to LA or New York because of my disability, I can't live in cold weather. I don't drive, so a lot of transportation. So I really didn't have an option to go to some of these what we call industry cities. There's only 5 of them that's considered industry: LA, Atlanta, Miami, New York, Nashville. And for different reasons, none of those cities make sense, or Orlando just makes sense, which means, all right, well, I got to freelance. I got to figure it out myself. And thankfully, I've been to 7 different countries. I've been featured in 14 magazines, one being Urban Grandstand magazine. I've been featured in there. James did a feature, my first cover. Did a cover on me several years back.
Look, I gotta rub the milk dud.
Listen,
no, but
when I say I'm beyond grateful for that, because not for the milk duds thing, but I'm super grateful for you, man, because like at that time when you and I connected,
Mhm.
I wasn't necessarily the most sure of myself, just in terms of like what I was doing, what I was putting
Right.
together.
And
Like
I used to encourage you all the time, Miss Man.
you did,
Keep
you
doing
absolutely,
keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Aw.
You know what I
and
mean? Yeah.
I was doing Indie
so
Soul
sweet.
Saturdays at the time,
Hmm.
and I wasn't always the most sure of myself in doing that show.
Right.
And Tracy used to do the same thing. Like she used to
Yeah.
encourage me all the time, and you're doing good, you're doing good. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. You're doing good. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, if you say so. Um,
Right.
it's only been like maybe the last couple years that I've been in that space. Like, dude, I got this. Like this is what I do.
I mean, and think about Dave. You've interviewed some pretty awesome people that are names. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You're not. I mean, thankfully for you, you cover independent artists. And see, me personally, I believe I believe in publication that cover independent artists because
Absolutely.
I still believe in press. I know we're day to day social media, but I still believe there's power in having people write about you as an emerging artist. And I don't care if it's only 30 people that see the magazine. It doesn't matter to me. There's 30 people that didn't know who the hell you were before.
That's true.
Everybody, what's the reach? The reach don't fucking matter.
Right.
What matters is people who didn't know you before now are familiar with who you are.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm sourcing out to radio, because that's one of the things I also do, is so I source to radio for independent artists. I try to put them in places where they get interviewed because the interviews allow people to care about you and hear what you're all about and possibly want to go see what else you got going on. Nobody can guarantee that anything. I can't guarantee that anything's going to happen. Nobody can. Okay. But at least we're giving you the options to put yourself in certain positions for people to at least be able to discover you on those other platforms as well too, besides social and things of that nature.
Right. But I've been able to see firsthand like how successful the artists that work with you, are becoming.
Yeah.
I mean, we can speak of Deli Raw,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, and by the way, I'm so glad she's making music again because she had kind of went into the produce. She had went into more because she started working into the as a female as a producer more than music. But I think she's just now. When we literally had this conversation the other day was even though she has amazing credits in the sync world, for those of you guys you don't, sync is when you take audio and you sync it to motion picture, and that's called a synchronization license. So how that breaks down is anytime you see a song in a commercial, in a TV show, in a video game, in a mobile app, and anything that has motion, anything going on, that's called a sync, right?
Okay.
So the way music is broken down is with a sync, you get two feeds that's usually attached to that. You get what they call a sync, which is the publishing side, which is the lyric and the melody, or the musical work of that song. And then you get the master use fee. So they have to pay a fee to use the actual song. They'll pay you another fee to use the actual lyrics and melody.
Wow.
And so that's how you get paid. So you get paid, usually when you get a sync, you get paid on both sides of it. Sometimes they have situations where we call that an all-in situation where they just have a budget of, and this happens a lot of times with smaller projects. Hey, we got $5,000. You need to pay everybody. You need to pay. All we got is $5,000. You figure it out. You have to work it out. But some of these bigger platforms, these bigger production places, they have big budgets, but they actually like working with independent artists because it's what we call one stop, meaning they don't have to clear 15. Go to because if you're a songwriter, if there's 15 songwriters on the song, 15 is a lot. Let's say there's 7 songwriters on the song. They all may belong to different PROs. PROs are performance rights organizations. So everybody's not always with the same people. So you have to clear that from each person. I have to say yes. If somebody says no, doesn't go down. The song doesn't happen. They clear that the clearance doesn't happen. So with bigger records like that, a lot of times they're hard to clear to get everybody to say yes. So they rather get independent artists, or they'll say, "Hey, we need something that sounds like Janet Jackson or the Nation, but it's not Janet Jackson because we can't afford that. We need something that sounds like that." So an independent artist might say, "We call that sound alike." So they'll go create a song. The independent artist may go make the song, and then they own the rights to the song. They own the publishing to the song. And so now we can do that. Which means they own it. That's a one stop. You don't have to go to one place to clear everything. So
Wow.
the music supervisors love that because they don't have to deal with having to deal with all that paperwork. Because the truth is, in the music publishing world, it's paperwork. It's not like it's not really. You're not really dealing with a lot of it's all paperwork. The music business is it's a lot of it's paperwork. It's copyrights and masters. It's all paperwork. So you do an admin, it's all paperwork. And when you're building your music business career, you got to understand the business is 90% business and 10% music.
Right.
And having your stuff properly done, because a lot of people just don't have their stuff properly set up, and so that's why they're not able to. The money that's owed to them, they can't get just because they don't have the music properly registered. It's not because the money's not there.
Mm-hmm.
The royalties have accrued. They just don't know who to send the money to. So the money just kind of sits. The money just kind of sits.
How do you select the independent artists that actually for you to work with? How do you pick them?
I let them come to me, and then we I let them come to me, and then we do a paid consult. Which I used to do free consultations, but I've seen them more power. If somebody is willing to, they should be able to pay $75 to talk to me for 30 minutes. I think that's a fair number, don't you think? Based on what you heard so far, don't you think? I mean, if you were an artist, would you see value in sitting down with me for 30 minutes and would be worth
Absolutely. I absolutely would. I see value in you sitting down with me right now. I don't know how long it's been. I've been looking at the clock. I don't care.
They come to me. We have a conversation, and then I try to see if there's a place where I can help them.
Yeah, because I've learned a lot from you, listening to what you have, and you just such a ball of knowledge over there. I'm like, oh, I just learned something new. I just learned something else new, and it's very enlightening. And my daughter is sitting in here, and I know she's listening. She pays attention, even though she acts like she isn't. Okay. And I know when you're talking about syncing music and everything, she's gonna go home and start doing her research on that stuff right there. So, I appreciate all the knowledge in there.
No, you're fine. I say like the information is out there. So when you hire somebody like me, you're not just hiring me for the information. You hire me for the execution of the information.
That's right.
The truth is, knowledge is. We have YouTube University. The knowledge is there. But when you hire somebody like myself as a consultant, what you really paying for is access to my network, access to my experiences, and how to guide you through certain things. That's where the real value is, right? If just the information alone, you can get that on your own, but you're gonna be bumping your head along the way, But when you make the investment and hire me, you get to take advantage of the fact that you now have an accountability partner with you, and you get a chance to hear the knowledge and me be able to in real time help you, give you the tools to be successful. I never promised success. I said I would give you the tools to be successful. There's a difference. I think music, unfortunately, in today's day and age, has become a hustle. So everybody's trying to be an artist. Everybody's trying to be an artist. And because it's so easy now to make a song, because we don't remember artists anymore. We remember songs more now than we remember artists. And there's artists. There used to be like the different regions had a certain sound. You knew when some was from LA, you could tell it was from LA. It had an LA sound. Yeah, you could tell someone was from New York. It had a New York sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nowadays, though, you can't really tell. You have cats that are from Baltimore, but they really influenced by down south music. So their music sound like it's from the South, but they're not from there. So which I guess is good as well too. But yeah, I don't really pick them. I let people come to me. I put the information out there and create the funnel for them to come into my world. And
but the question is, do you accept everybody that come to you?
Not necessarily. If I feel like you're gonna be a headache, I've had to I let. So there's one lady. A quick story is one lady found me on the internet. She found me and she wanted me to manage her, and I said no. I didn't really want to manage her. I said, well, how you can hire me as a consultant? So she hired me. She signed my agreement and everything, and she paid me for the first month. but she would always come to do our training sessions. Because I start every time I start with the artist, it's always education first, always. So she would always come to our training sessions, but she would never be like, she'd always be laying down in the bed, never like actually attentive and ready to learn. And so she's like, well, I didn't come here to go to class. I said, well, I mean, you need the knowledge. Like, what do you think? The problem with people is that in our industry, it's not regulated, which means you don't need to have a license.
Right.
You have to have a license to be in the financial industry. You have to have a license to be in the medical industry. You have to have a license, at least to be a doctor. You have to have a license to be a doctor. You have to have a license to be a financial person. Especially when you're dealing with people's, monies and things of that nature, because there's things that you have to know that have to be regulated to know, to make sure you know what you're doing. And you're dealing with people's money.
Right.
I watch enough of American Greed to know that, people get addicted to the money, So, but in entertainment, it doesn't work like that. One day you could decide, hey, I'm in the studio, I'm in the business now, and I understanding there's a process. Like, you need to go get educated. There's a knowledge that you have to have in order to be in this business and to be taken seriously in this business. Because, like we said, the artist development has no longer been there. The labels are no longer doing it. So it's people like me now who have to take the task to do the artist development. Now, creatively, as far as songs go, I don't do that. I bring other people to do the production. That's not.
You telling me you can't write me a song?
No, I don't.
I'm sorry.
I'm the relation.
I just had to.
I'm the branding guy, the relationship guy, that type of guy. But I have partners that will come in and they'll kind of get in the studio, get with you, make sure the product is right, things like that. Then they give it to me. I can do what I do, but I know my lane. I stay in it. Now I know when something sounds good. I know when something is supposed to. You could just tell when something doesn't sound good.
Right.
You don't have to be trained to know. Your ear will tell you to something about this system ain't right. And you don't have to know anything technical about music to know that. So yeah, but go ahead.
I would love to be a fly on the wall, like, when you're working with an artist, and just I mean, because I just see like the full on passion that you have with this industry, and I think that's one of the things that really inspired me along my path, like as I maneuvered through doing the magazine and doing Indie Soul Saturdays. And
I would love to see that too.
Like, I would love to just be a fly on the wall, because like I've kind of been able to see from the outside looking in, like, you're working with these artists daily, and I think that there's times hard on them. I think there's times when that not that you're really easy peasy, but I think
but there's times where there's times you have to kind of, sometimes, like, okay, sometimes when I'm doing my sessions, it's not going to be teach mode. It's going to be, hey, what do you want to talk about today? You know what I mean? I put the lessons in place, so at least they feel like, okay, I paid this guy some money. At least we have something structured there. But if they have something else they want to talk to me about that's going on, I'm there to serve at the end of the day. That's what I'm there to do. So, I can have things in place to talk about, but ultimately I'm there to serve you and help you in any which way I possibly can. That's kind of the way I approach it.
Right.
That kind of way. That's the way I approach
it. I want to just say this, because I know we're kind of coming towards the end of our interview. I just appreciate the heart and the passion that you put in everything that you do. And like you said, people don't have to have a certification or a license to do what you do. But even if they were certified and licensed, they couldn't come with your heart and the passion and the drive that you put into people, And real people appreciate and draw to people with a heart,
I think so.
And I just want to applaud you for being who you are and doing what you're doing. And you're not your disability. You have, and you are just doing your damn thing out here in the industry. Your name is out there. You got these books, and my man over here speak very highly of you.
Yeah. And I want to plug the book real quick.
I was just about to bring up the book. Come on, go ahead.
The book is called Encourage and Inspire More Than a Hobby, Why I Chose to Carve Out My Own Professional Path in the Music Industry. It's a long title, but it means a lot. But the reason why I called it that was the reason why I wrote the book was for inspiration and hope. Because truth is, there's not a lot of opportunities for people with disabilities in the record business. It just isn't. It just isn't very many. People aren't looking to hire us for jobs and things. They're just because it's just not really that type of space. So I had to kind of create my own space. I wanted to tell people about my journey in the business, and hopefully people who has a disability who want to have the opportunity to work in the record business can have that opportunity, whether it be remotely or whether it be where they're remotely working for a company or like me, kind of doing the freelance thing, but be able to be taken seriously. I'm thankful that every relationship I have in the business, and I have global relationships all around the world, is I've earned everything. I've earned everything. I currently work with New School Rules, which is the #1 urban music conference and festival in Europe. So I'm I'm an official partner with them, which means I bring talent from. They're in Rotterdam. They're in the Netherlands, so that's an hour north of Amsterdam. Okay. So Hecka Maduro and her husband Greg have been putting on that event now for the last 10, 11 years. This is going to be the 11th edition of the event in May, and so I'll be going to Rotterdam in about 3 weeks. And so I bring people to Europe for the first time to perform on the global stage, and I take pride that I'm able to do that. I told myself if I can become the guy that can help you become international, that can also kind of put me in a special place too, about having global relationships. So so that's how I wrote the book, to hopefully be an inspiration to people who read it, whether you have a disability or not. I want people to be able to be inspired by it, be encouraged by it, and hopefully it opens up some more doors for me to continue to do other things in terms of the writing space. I'm working on some other book projects as well too. There will be more knowledge-based books, but this particular one, which is a short read, it's only 38 pages. James has read it, so it's a quick read. It's not going to take long, but I just hope that
Where can they find your book?
So they can find it. I have it on a platform called Gumroad. So basically, I put it on a platform called Gumroad, which is a direct to sales platform. It's because it allows me to name. I have it on as a minimum price for $9.99, but you can name your price for more than that if you want to. So if you wanted to pay $40, it's an ebook. So it's supposed to download directly to your. Once you purchase the book, it'll download directly to your email, and you can get it from there. But I am going to be pressing up because people have been asking me about some hard copy versions of the book. Okay. So I'm going to be putting some of those together. And if people are interested in getting a hard copy of the book, that's going to be a little bit more expensive, because I have to print it and I have to ship it, all types of it. But if people are interested in getting a hard copy version of the book, they can just reach out to me, and I'll make sure that happens.
Okay. Is there a way that you can, I'm not sure, so I can ask, that you can send a link that we can post on our platform so people can click it and get your ebook?
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I could definitely send a link over. People can get it. And, I also have a behind the ebook, did a YouTube series, a video series as well, talking about the book as well. So I think people should definitely watch that. And I'm gonna send a link to James. I think I'm gonna send a link to you with the full video, so they can check that out too, and then purchase the book. So I really like that.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm looking forward to the many things that I know that you have coming forward, man. We definitely got to talk some point about this podcast that you got going on. Number one.
Yeah. Let's talk about it real quick. It's called the Encourage Inspire Podcast. It's hosted housed by the God What You Need Podcast Network. Shout out to my brother LaShawn. Like I told you, so LaShawn was welcome to the business. He's in the podcast world now, in tech world. So he has a podcast network called God What You Need Podcast. And he asked me a couple years ago, said, "Bro, you want to do a podcast?" I said, "Matter of fact, I think why not?" So I started doing a podcast called the Encourage Inspire. Obviously, a play off my brand.
Right.
So on my podcast, I usually cover one of three topics: disability awareness, music business topics, and people's stories that encourage and inspire me. And so it's been cool to be able to interview some pretty cool people who are my friends. It's great when you think about it, like people who I got a chance to interview Kipper Jones.
Yeah.
Which you guys who don't know who Kipper Jones is. He wrote a lot of Brandy's hits early on. I Want to Be Down, which was not supposed to go to Brandy, by the way. That song was supposed to go to Vanessa Williams.
Oh.
A lot of people don't know that. That record was supposed to go to Vanessa Williams. And the reason why I did it was because because he had just come off working with her. They off the Comfort Zone album and told millions of records. And they said, we really have this young girl. She's 14. We think she's going to be amazing. We love her. He's like, well, I don't work with kids. Well, just cut the record. So they cut the record. And long story short is he was absolutely blown away. And one story that he talked about was the fact that the song Broken Hearted, he had a really tough time coming up with inspiration to write that song because they had the whole album already done and they wanted a ballad. And he had the track for a while. He's like, man, what do 14-year-old girls write about? He's obviously at least 10 plus years, 10, 15 years older than Brandy. So it's like, he's probably in his mid 30s, writing about, trying to figure out what young girls talk about. But ultimately, like he figured it out. And obviously, we know that became a big, huge record. So Kipper Jones is one of my good friends, man. I've been able to interview some really cool people and use that and allow my podcast to create opportunities for relationships who I want to build with. Cool about having a podcast is who doesn't want to come on and talk about themselves, and what they've done. So that's why I love doing the podcast. I realized too, I'm really good at interviewing people. I think people have told me they listen to my podcast. I do a pretty good job at that. So
should you find a space for us?
No, I'd love to have you guys on. Love to have you guys on the podcast.
We'll think about it. You just let it. Now, should you find a space for us, man? I'm gonna just be honest. I would love to do it. I would absolutely love.
I have one last question, and I gotta ask this one question. What kind of advice would you give a young person that may have a disability, but appreciates? I'm trying to find the words to say this. Loves the music industry, love artists, but they're afraid to be in the camera. Like, what kind of advice would you give a young person that wants to get involved in music to actually share the disability and push past it to go into their passion?
Okay, so do they want to kind of do what I do behind the scenes, or do they want to actually make music? Because there's two different things.
Well, they love making music. Okay. They love making music. They love to hear the music and the different tones and have a lot of great advice. What advice would you give them? Anything to help them get past it or even talk about it?
I mean, I would just tell them, like, look, you have somebody. A lot of times it comes down to just having a support system. So first of all, find your support system. Obviously, somebody, if I have a relationship with them, if they have a relationship with me, just talk to me and understand. I mean, I'm not a creative in the sense of being able to actually make songs, but just being able to understand. I understand how the industry works. I would able to guide them. So the advice is just do it. Just do. We're in the day and age now. Just do it. Don't let anything stop you. I know people have fear and stuff like that, and but you just got to do it. And who cares? Who cares what everybody else thinks? I can speak for me personally. Especially when it comes to relationships, I think for me, the world doesn't see people like me with disabilities, a lot of women, as viable partners. Mm-hmm. Just being honest about it, right? So I know that I'm at a disadvantage on certain things. It's just what it is. People tell, oh, what do you mean? Like, it's true. Like, you can sit there and it's very, very true. So I have to approach, the way I approach women is from a place of strength, is I know what I'm good at. And right. I'm good at emotional stability, emotional support. And I can be at an advantage. So I know what it's like to have fear, to not want to be afraid to approach somebody or talk to somebody because of what society might say. Because the truth is, society's gonna say, "What are you doing with him?" You know, if you are with him, are you? Is he paying for your time to be with him? You know, are you taking advantage of his situation? Because that happens a lot. So, but because I know this is something that I want, I put the effort in to make sure that that I can be seen as somebody that's at least worth exploring with. Nobody can tell you what's going to happen, but at least be open enough to say, you know what, you're at least worth a try. And so I think going back down to the music, just try it. Just put it out there, see what happens, and if good things, because these days, you're not trying to appeal to everybody. Just try to find the people that really rock with what you're trying to do, and that's the best advice I could give people. Just find the people that love what you do. I personally serve independent artists. That's just because I just feel like that's where I can make the biggest impact. The 1%ers don't really need me. They're already set. They're fine. But the ones that need me are the ones, or the newer artists, and it's tougher because that's the less money there. But it's this is what I love to do. So I'm just gonna continue to do it.
I kind of lied to you. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. So I do have one more question.
Okay.
Look, it came about when he brought up the 1%ers. If a 1%er actually did want you to consult them, and wanted to hire you to help them, but even though they're in that elite status, would you do it?
Of course, I'd do it. I'm just gonna say that's just not my target. You know what I mean? Yeah, if somebody came to me and saw value enough in and I really feel like they would do. Yeah, if they came to me and it was something that they saw value in, of course, I'd be a fool not to consider it. Not to, you know what I mean?
I want to make sure the world heard you say that. That's all.
You know what I mean? I mean, if there was something, if there was something that they saw value in me with, and was able, and saw that I could do something to help them, why would I not do that? You know what I mean? So yeah.
I wanted to make sure the 1%ers that's going to chime into this going to understand that that they can pay full price.
Yeah, they definitely can.
Absolutely.
Y'all hear us? Because I know y'all gonna get this. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm just letting them know. So.
Hey, listen, man.
Thank you so much.
As always, I appreciate you more than you could ever know. I know that she appreciates you. She was super excited. She called me one day because we call each other like 100 times throughout the day.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, she called me one day and she's like, "This man sent me a message," and
you ain't supposed to talk about.
She said, "This man sent me a message," and she kept trying to say your name, and I
got it wrong.
Well, when she was saying it too, I think you said it right, but when she said it right, but when she just kept saying Durell, and we had been talking about somebody else. So and I wasn't in a funk that day, but I think I had so much stuff going on. So when she said Durell, I'm like, who the fuck is Durell? What are you talking? What are you talking about? Like who was you talking about? What you? I'm like, you losing your mind. And then when she finally started talking about it, I'm like, oh.
I'm like, I'm listening to him on IG.
I'm like,
and
Durell. So she was like, I'm bringing him on the show. I said, well, he been on the show. He's been on this, but then I'm like, well, no, he need to come on the show again.
I'm like, he wasn't on the show with me. I mean, so can we do this again? Because
I think that's
I got my own questions. Do you mind? He's like, okay. I think it's dope.
I honestly think it's
dope, dude. Yeah, I think it's about time for us to get in touch again. Anyway,
I just said I think it's dope, and I love the fact that just in the midst of us kind of. We obviously do a lot together, but in the midst of us kind of doing our own thing too, you two connected, obviously without me even knowing.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes just to her being a part of the entertainment plug now, and why she's so essential.
Yep.
I keep trying to tell her that like I need her here because we play off of each other. And you look at what you're good at, and then you look at where you might be lacking at. And the thing with, like, as far as when I do media and I do interviews, a lot of my stuff is more structured and tailored because I act like I went to college, like for journalism and whatnot. So I kind of follow a lot of like the traditional rules of media and journalism and how you're supposed to approach people and talk to people and that sort of thing. And you kind of lose the life in it.
Yep.
I'm like bubbly and smiley. Like I've been catching myself as we've been talking, and I'm like, damn, dude, you look mad. Like smile or something. Like I'm really intently listening. Like I'm listening and I'm enjoying it, but I look mad as shit. But then she comes in and she's like laughing and joking and acting a fool and rubbing my head and all. She brings the entertainment factor to the entertainment plug. So I'm like, I need you here. Like I've been trying to find you. And the thing is, we've been around each other our whole lives.
He was ignoring me.
We've been around our whole lives, but I just was like, I think I needed you here and didn't realize it. And I've been looking for you and didn't realize that I was looking for you. So I'm like 5 years into doing the entertainment plug, I got you. So I'm like, it's been moving really, really smooth for this couple months that we've been rolling together. Yeah. So I think that you two connecting with each other so easily, like it speaks volumes just to why she's so necessary here. Like she's really essential to the glue and
No, man, when you find people that you rock with, and not only in life, but especially in this business, you want to hold on to those people because there's not a lot of them that are like true friends in the business. We have professional friends, but when you say true friends in the business, like it's not a lot of that going on. So when you find people that you can trust like that, people that believe in what it is that you're doing, you have to hold on to that tightly because this is an industry full of snakes and full of a lot of BS going on and no integrity, and I don't operate in that space. I mean, I operate in the space of just being a good, honest person, telling the truth. We're artists and I'm not. I can't help everybody. Everybody, that's like I was saying before. I can give you the tools to be successful, but it's up to you to actually do that. So
what's the saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it anything that you really want to get out here? Kind of like as a final comment, or
I just want to thank you guys, like I said, for inviting me on, and just I'm gonna do what I do and share some knowledge. Hopefully, people listening, they're not listening live, but they go back and listen on the playback that I said something that resonated with them. If they're interested in wanting to connect with me, they can definitely connect with me on social media. It's at Durell Peart. That's DURELL PEART. My website's durellpeart.com. And they can even, if you want to text me directly, I'll give you guys my phone number too. It's 407-326-2352. You can shoot me a text. Let me know that you found me here on the Entertainment Plug, and if you're interested in wanting to work with me, let's talk about it. See if it's a good fit.
I think that's amazing, man. Thank you so much. As always, I know that we'll have some more stuff going on. You obviously, I love the fact, and I'm appreciative and grateful of the fact that, you started putting these packages together, and then you're.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be bringing some people to the to Urban Grandstand Digital as well, and definitely bring some people to Entertainment Plug. Because again, I think it's great to have platforms that's willing to interview and talk to up and coming artists.
Absolutely.
Because they need platforms. Everybody can't get to the biggest platform. Everybody can't get to, the biggest stages. It's just not possible for everybody to get on those biggest stages. So when we can get people who are just starting out to get people to care about what they're doing, there's value in that. There's value in that. So Yeah. So I put those packages together. So I will be reaching out. In fact, I already sent you an artist that probably one of the first ones that.
Okay.
Charles Anthony out of Dallas, Texas. So.
Okay.
So he's a good dude. So I've been working with him for a while.
Is he in Dallas right now?
Yeah, he's in Dallas now. Yeah,
because she's going. We interviewed the young lady about almost 2 weeks ago, and she's got a show going on next week.
April the 28th.
Yeah, 28th. So she's gonna be down in
her
Dallas.
show, Moscato.
Okay.
So I'll be at the release party, and I'll be MCing. So if he's there, maybe he can stop in and say hello on the mic a little bit or something, you know.
Yeah. So for sure. So I'll definitely I'll connect y'all.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, man. We'll definitely talk. I'll go through my email and pull up Charles Anthony.
For sure. So yeah. So I'll send you. In fact, I need to send you the stuff on email. I know I sent you some stuff on Facebook Messenger, but I'll go through and send some stuff to you on email so you can kind of get more familiar with it.
Okay. And then we can figure out date and all that stuff. You know, I'm bringing back Indie Soul Saturdays. It'll be in podcast form because I'm working on I'm getting into the podcasting space now. So I want to start engineering podcasts and, bring people in to do shows and whatnot. So
I love that. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm really into that space now. So I'm working on pulling that together. So I mean, I'll have various platforms that we can, get artists.
And that's great. That's great. Yeah. So I'll be definitely letting know.
I'm learning from you, man. So I appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to that invitation to the podcast, so you can give me some questions in advance, so I can study them. I'm just joking.
No, what I do is I usually ask people's bios and things like that. I mean, obviously, I know you, so I mean, we wouldn't even really need a bio like that, but maybe I get the bio just so I can have some questions to guide the conversation. Sometimes, sometimes I don't even worry about the questions and we just go with it, but
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be rehearsed. So
I'm just
listen. You can let these amateurs do what they do, man. I don't want to be rehearsed. So
my goodness! Oh my gosh!
But we both appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys for having me, man. I never take this stuff for granted.
I know you
being able to share my story, being able to share my stuff, and you never know who's listening, who may want to reach out and get a hold of me. So, if
I've been watching people jumping in and out because I had it streaming on YouTube and then 2 Facebook accounts. So I've been watching people jump in and out.
Okay, so hopefully, if I said something that resonates, hopefully they'll reach out to me, and if not, it's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time and your heart you shared with us today on the entertainment plug. Again, thank you guys for chiming in with us. I'm your girl, Fell in Love with Carly, and this is.
And I'm J Rock.
We'll talk to you later.
All right, guys.